Hi guys,
Hi guys,
this is Michelle,
and that's Mark.
and it's back. We're back with another episode of
This is Mark and Michelle.
On Heal Your Autism.
Okay.
And what we wanted to do is last night we talked. We told some stories from my autistic past and her indirect autistic past through me, and how I perceived things then. And so tonight we wanted to talk a little, give a few more stories, and just to share with y'all what life was like for autism with a person who could really examine it from the inside. So what we'll start. There was a story.
Last night he was talking about the prostitutes who grabbed him.
Yeah.
In Paris.
Mm-hmm.
And he wanted to tell another story from Paris. He wanted to tell the gypsies.
Oh yes.
We were at Notre Dame.
we were crossing the Seine on a street, and there was that particular bridge. There was a walkway, so you could walk on a sidewalk across the bridge. And we were headed to Notre Dame, the cathedral, and Michelle had told me about gypsies, long before we went on the trip. And
I always give him warnings ahead of time, but it doesn't always help.
Yeah, well, she definitely gave me warnings ahead of time then, and that's cool. And, so I'm like, okay, so let's be on the lookout for gypsies, and as much as I was on the lookout for anything except for a book or a museum. But so here we are crossing this bridge on the sidewalk, and a bunch of kids came running up. And I'm like, okay, I was saying hi to them and this kind of stuff, but considering that they all came running up, that was already a red flag to me. I just didn't know why, And they were getting too close, and they were mobbing me and mobbing her. And so I think I was going to stand there and talk to them, or at least talk to them as I was walking. And because I thought, to me, I was always accused of not being nice, right? And how many of y'all say that to your kid? Look, you need to be nice, right? To your autistic loved one. And I'll be honest, when you're autistic, you can only be as nice as your autism allows you to be, all right? And I think that's a fair statement. And
now I think we would say as nice as your pandas allows you to be.
Well, exactly. And because for us, autism seems to be about 4 or 5. I think it's 5. I would lump the bacterial in with the viral to make it 4, but either way.
They're separate. You have to deal with them separately, though.
Well, that's true. So let's go with 5. And 5 separate things. Clearing up viral infections, clearing up bacterial infections, healing the liver, healing your damaged neural network, and detoxing heavy metals. Those 5 things. You take care of those.
Something. I can't remember because I put viruses and
healing the liver was 1.
I've got to memorize this. Oh, here it is, right here.
All right. See? Yeah. Damaged gut, strep, viruses, neurological damage, stagnant liver, and heavy metals. So
yeah, that's the 5 things.
That's the 5 things. And so if you take care of those 5 areas, then you are going to lose the medical condition or conditions labeled autism. You just will. And so here we are walking across that bridge, and again, all these kids had mobbed me, and I thought, well, I'll try to be nice, because her and I got into it a lot because I wasn't nice enough. And so they were holding out their hands wanting something. Now, again, I'm surrounded by kids, so I'm not seeing everything that's going on. And truthfully, because I was autistic and didn't know it at that point, I wasn't really seeing much that was going on, And so she comes up behind me and says, "They're gypsies, go!" Right? And so I start moving quickly, walking as fast as I can, and she's running up behind me. And it was funny. I didn't realize it then, but in years since then, this was 2002, so it's been 17 years ago. And as I've thought about it over the years, especially since I've recovered fully, it's been fascinating to know and sad to know at the same time and aggravating to know that no matter how observant I was, no matter how observant I tried to be, how aware I tried to be as an autistic adult, I was always prone to being taken advantage of. And I know, a lot of autistic adults who are part of the neurodiversity movement, they get angry when you say anything negative about autism. But I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be straightforward with you. In a circumstance like that, how many of your autistic loved ones, fully adults, because I was 33 at that point. How many of your autistic loved ones wouldn't be taken advantage of and wouldn't be bullied at that point by kids? And that is really one of the issues with autism. One of the biggest issues is you're not aware of your social surroundings. You're not aware of the social atmosphere. And because you're not, it's very easy for you to either be bullied and bullied subtly and not know it, or be taken advantage of and not know it. And I remember one time, this is 1988, and I remember somebody told me something and I believed it. Because when you're autistic, whether you realize it or not, when you're autistic, you cannot tell when somebody's lying to you, unless it's an outright factual error, right? But you can't tell when someone's lying to you. And that makes you a huge target for being bullied, for being taken advantage of, for extortion, because you don't know, you can't tell, you can't see through the emotional BS that's going on that people are trying to use to take advantage of you. And so you can tell me that you're not brainwashable, that you're not gullible, but that's projection. You're lying to yourself, all right? If you're autistic and you don't believe that, I guarantee you it happens. That's why you get picked on. That's why you get taken advantage of. That's why you get your lunch money stolen at 35. Okay? So, and that's a sad state of affairs, because the world isn't going to change just because you demand that it does. And no matter how much I wish the world to change, it didn't. For me to have a great life, I had to change. And being taken advantage of by those kids really stuck in my mind. And I thought about it over the years quite a bit, and I realized that that's not something I wanted to continue in my life. And let's see. And then that situation that happened in 1998 or 1988, I mean, that's been 30 years, a little over 30 years ago now. Someone told me something, I believed it. Someone else who was involved in the situation said, well, you know what? If you weren't so gullible, well, that pissed me off. I didn't want to be gullible because gullible sounded like a bad thing. And, it's not really a bad thing, but it is a disadvantageous thing to be easily lied to and wind up losing something or always being on the outside. And see, that's another thing about autism. I always felt on the outside. And I think that's why you hear so many autistic people say, well, we want to be included. I get it. But you can't be included because the very thing you have keeps you excluded. It's not your fault. It's no one's fault. It's just what is. So that's the reason I think it's important to bring that gypsy story up. And I got lied to so many times, got treated so badly because it was so easy to treat me badly. And I didn't know what boundaries were. I didn't even know what my boundaries were. So I couldn't tell people, hey, you don't get to talk to me like that. I couldn't stand up for myself. And, I don't know what the case is with other autistic people, but that winds up being a serious problem, even up into your adult years, And so, but other stories, let's see.
Those are social danger.
Yeah.
Let's talk about just other dangers, like the time you picked up the prickly pear, or the time you lost your glasses in the ocean.
Well, or the time I argued with the policeman defending a friend.
Right. That would be a social danger.
That would be a social danger, but interestingly enough, you could also call that a physical danger. Mm-hmm. Because and let me start with that story first, then we'll move on to the prickly pear and a friend of mine, he was a homeless guy in Atlanta. Nice guy, I liked him, and he never seemed to take advantage of me that I could tell.
Why did you know that you liked him?
Because he was willing to talk to me, and he talked about serious things with me. But he talked about his life, and he asked me about mine. So he seemed interested in me. You know what I mean? And I like that because I thought that's what friends were. So you might say that James was a friend.
Oh, I thought he was a friend.
Yeah,
to you,
to a certain extent. And so James is about 10 years older than me, so he's probably in his early to mid 60s by now. But he was homeless, and being a black guy, he got picked on quite a bit by the police. And so I'm guessing he was in his early 50s when I knew him. And so a lot of times he'd just get pulled over by the police, not that he was driving, but police would kind of harass him. And so one afternoon, I worked at a big Borders bookstore in Atlanta, and James was there, and he was out in the parking lot, and a policeman stopped him and wanted to search him. And I happened to see what was going on through the window. I was upstairs on the second floor, and I could see out through a window into the parking lot. I saw the policeman talking to him. Well, I just assumed that he was being harassed. So I went out there. I ran downstairs, ran out the front doors of the bookstore, and over to the policeman. It got between the policeman and my friend. And I told the policeman, you have no reason to harass this guy. He hasn't done anything.
This is Aspie, Mark.
Yeah, so why don't you leave him alone, right? Well, that got the store manager involved because I stepped over a line and didn't realize.
Well, you stepped over a lot of lines.
Yeah, I stepped over quite a few lines. And so here I was interfering with a policeman, and technically he was doing the right thing. I mean, James had no reason to be in the store except because he never had any money to buy anything, And so the policeman was trying to find out what he was doing there, and James was going to be arrested. But because I stepped between the policeman and James, he didn't get arrested.
That's weird.
And so the store manager came out and stepped between me and the policeman. And she told me to go back inside. I'm still friends with that store manager, by the way, oddly enough. And because amazing that I'd be. But she said, look, we don't need to anger the police. She said, so go ahead on back inside. So I did.
She probably diffused that really well.
She probably, more than likely. And the policeman didn't seem angry, but then I didn't read people.
No, you didn't read anything.
I didn't read people, so he might have been angry. I just couldn't tell. But he wasn't shouting at me, so I was like, okay. So then I couldn't really tell. So later on, some months later, I found out that James had been carrying some marijuana on him, and he had been selling it in the store, in the bathroom to people.
So they had a reason to arrest him.
They had a reason to arrest him, but because I got between the policeman and James, they didn't arrest him.
You're a lucky man.
Well, James was able to stash the marijuana that he had when right before he saw the policeman coming and stashed the marijuana. The policeman didn't notice it. And so James went to jail. He apparently got arrested after that incident.
Oh.
And he got out because they had nothing on him. But that's only because he didn't have the marijuana on him.
Yeah.
And so, see, here I was, and I mean, I saved James from probably some serious jail time, but at the same time, crossing over boundaries that society says you don't normally cross, right? So there I was, not seeing the social danger of that at all.
Yeah.
James was really grateful for the rest of the time I knew him about him saving me. He was really impressed, but I could have gotten myself in jail at that point. But
then that's social
danger.
But then there's just other dangers that he just couldn't see at all.
Well, physical danger.
Michelle and Colorado, right?
Yeah, Michelle and I lived in Colorado. This was from February of 1995 until July of 95. She and I lived in Denver, and so I worked at a restaurant. They're a really nice new restaurant that I helped opened up. I wound up cooking for Julia Child there, and but she and I went visiting Colorado, different places in the state, and she and I had gone to I don't know, it was a dam or something or a lake, and so we were walking through the I guess there are woods in Colorado, but there wasn't where we lived, and so we were walking and we were climbing up and down small hills, and so I saw this one hill and I thought, ooh, I'm going to climb it. So I started running up it, kept going, and I got distracted by plants all around where I was standing. I thought, oh, that looks cool. I reached down and I grabbed this small cactus. It looked furry, so I thought it was grabbable. And shut up.
I knew it wasn't.
Well, I didn't. And so I got bunches of spines in my fingers and in my hands.
And I think I had already gone to the car.
You might have, and I had trouble getting into the car.
You were like...
Well, no, you told me, hey, put that down. That's a cactus.
Oh,
and
okay.
So, which leads me to another story.
That was a long time ago.
Right? And, well, it was 24,
95.
It was 24 years ago.
Oh, my goodness.
And a little over 24 years ago. And so,
I just married him, and I was like, what is wrong with this guy?
I know, right? So I threw the cactus down, had hundreds of little spines in my fingers, and...
Well, I thought you put one in your pocket because your pockets were full.
Oh, my pockets were... I might have put one in my pocket and didn't realize it. And so, see, I couldn't feel pain very much. Yeah. So, but I had hundreds of little spines in my fingers. And so Michelle had to spend a few hours after we got home with tweezers picking them out of my hands. And sitting there thinking, this dude's weird.
Well, I still can't believe what you did at the ocean.
Well, and so that leads me to the next story. And so she and I lived in Georgia for most of our married life together. In Atlanta. And so we would visit Florida, the beach, and that kind of stuff. So we went probably Jacksonville.
No,
maybe it was Savannah. And so we were in...
It was a 4-hour drive home with you not being able to see.
Oh, well, see, you're talking about that. I'm talking about a whole nother story.
Oh, goodness.
So,
okay, so there's like a whole lot of stories.
Let me tell the stories, and you'll know. So we were in Savannah. You're right. We were in Savannah for that. Mm-hmm. And so here we were. We were at the ocean. It was summer. And
yeah, we were in the ocean.
Yeah, so I brought him a diving mask and that kind of stuff. And so I thought, all right, so we'll go. I went into the water with my mask on and was looking around. I could see the bottom and sometimes see fish and this type of thing. And so I thought, if my diving mask works, I wonder if my glasses would work. So I put my glasses on and I stick my head under the water, and sure enough, a wave hits and knocks them off my face, and they're gone. And so I could actually tell you were disgusted. I still remember that.
I need to work on this memory.
Yeah.
Still like...
Right. And so I lost my glasses in the ocean. And so they floated off. And so we had to spend the whole...
You can't see.
No, I can't see at all. So I couldn't drive home. I mean, it was only 3.5, 4 hours.
But you didn't drive anyway.
Well, and so I couldn't see. So she drove, but she normally drove anyway because she likes to drive. So we drove back to Atlanta, and I had to get some new glasses, And but that's not the only danger that the ocean posed for me. It posed for Aspie, for autistic me. She and I were visiting Florida, and I was pretty sure it was Pensacola.
I don't remember what story.
And we were walking along the beach, and it was a Pensacola. In fact, it was where we were at that last time we were at Pensacola last
Well, you're
year.
going to have to tell the story so I know what you're
That's
talking
right.
about.
And the suspense is killing you.
Yes!
And so we were walking along the sand, and I reached down, and I picked up what looked like a little egg. Well, it wasn't an egg. It was a jellyfish.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And she goes, "Don't pick that up. It's a jellyfish. It'll sting you." So I threw it down. And so, as you can see, you know.
It's my whole life until ...
You're going to have to tell us a story now.
Until Mark went on these diets. These stories are gone now.
Right. Because
I don't have to watch them at all.
yeah, I mean, I knew not to step out in front of cars, but I have heard of autistic people, adults and children, who just don't see the danger of being out in the middle of the street.
Yeah.
You know, and that's a problem. I mean, I've heard of autistic kids not sensing any danger and walk out the street and get hit and killed.
Yeah.
You know, so that's not unusual. But, you know, autism is a problem. I mean, to me, the one superpower doesn't really outweigh all the disadvantages. Just doesn't. You know.
Okay, so we're over time.
Yep.
Do your celery juice, heavy metal detox smoothie, lemon water.
Mm-hmm.
Download the book
at www.healyourautism.com.
And know that we do coaching. We do one-on-one consultations, and we have a group coaching page.
We do. And we will see you guys tomorrow night at 10:45.
Bye.